the study guide for the 1.4 to 1.7 test. Number 1, you are trying to find the pattern. Here we see that the internet service, the customers that she has over a period of 5 weeks are recorded, right? So here we can see at week 1, she has 1 customer. At week 2, she has 3 customers. At week 3, she has 5. At week 4, she has 7. And then at week 5, she has 9. The question is make a conjecture about the number of customers she will have in the 7th week. So we can see here the pattern is it's increasing by 2 each week. So for the 6th week, we know she will have 11 customers. And the 7th week, she would have 13 customers. So the answer is 13 customers. Number 9, based on the pattern, what are the next 2 terms? Here, we can see that from 9 to 15, we're adding 6. 15 to 21, we're adding 6. 21 to 27. Again, you're just looking for the pattern. So the next 2 terms would be 33 and 39. Number 3, the counter example. Remember, that's just one example whenever it's not true. So we need to think of a number that is divisible by 4, but it is not divisible by 8. Again, we're looking for a counter example. So a number that's divisible by 4, not by 8, one quick example would be 12. 12 is divisible by 4, but it's not evenly divisible by 8. So any of those would work. Number 14, identifying the hypothesis and the conclusion of the statement. The part of the statement that's behind the if, so 2 lines intersect at right angles, that's our hypothesis. The statement behind the then, the 2 lines are perpendicular, that would be our conclusion. Number 5, the converse of the conditional. Remember, that's just where we're going to take our if statement and our then statement and we're going to switch them. So if a point has negative coordinates or coordinates that are negative, okay, so I took this part here, right, the coordinates are negative, and I put that first. Then I'm going to switch it and say then it is in the 4th quadrant. Okay, again, we just switched it. We took that if part and put it first, and then we took, the then part and put it first, and then the if part and put it second. So that's the converse, is you just switch them. Okay, number 6, we were asked to state the truth value, and if it's true, explain why. If it's false, give a counter example. So the statement, if it is snowing in Dallas, Texas, then it is snowing in the United States, of course, is true. And that is because Dallas, Texas is in the United States. Number 7. Now remember, number 7 we talked about in class, we're changing. I'm taking out the converse because we already did that one back on number 5. And I'm also going to take out the truth value because that's exactly what we just did on the last problem. So all you're going to have to do on number 7 is find the inverse and the contrapositive. So the inverse, I'm going to scoot down and write it like right down here. So the inverse is just where you add not. So if a figure is not a rectangle, then it is not A parallelogram would be my inverse statement, and the contrapositive is just where we're going to take and we're going to both find the converse and the inverse at the same time. That's basically what the contrapositive is. So for the statement, it would be if a figure is not a parallelogram, then it is not a rectangle. That's going to be our contrapositive. Oops, sorry. Okay, so that's number 7. Number 8, this is using the law of deduction, deductive reasoning and the law of detachment. So a plumber knows that if you shut off the water at the main valve, it's safe to remove the sink. Well, the plumber turns the main valve to the off position. The conclusion that we can make is that it is safe to remove the sink faucet. The law of syllogism, number 9, uses 2 conditional statements. So we can see here that says if you exercise regularly, then you have a healthy body. If you have a healthy body, then you have more energy. So we can see that those 2 statements in the middle are recurring, and we can condense it into a conclusion where it's not repetitive. So it would be if you exercise regularly, then you have more energy. And that's number 9. Number 10, and we talked about in class how this looked a little different than what we were used to seeing. So if it helps, remember how I said you can write it like do this: statements, reasons. Right, that's what the way we were used to seeing it in class, and it's already worked out for us. All we have to do is fill in the reasons. I remember I also said letter E, I took that out. So the first statement, of course, is given, right? That we're given that equation, and we're given that x equals -5. And we talked about how, look, if we know that that's -5 and we put that here, that 12 times -5 is indeed -60, and what we did is we substituted. So that's substitution. And then we would solve the problem, right? So here we know that this 60 is going to get added to this side. So that would be the addition property of equality. Which it did, see right here, that turned into a 65. And then to get from here to here, we're just going to divide both sides by the next -6. And that's the division property of equality. And that's your test.